draft that you can speak to?
No, I'd just say we, obviously went in today knowing it was probably our biggest day. I mean, we'd only made 2 picks, and we obviously added 6 more guys, and really felt good about it. I mean, there were some times in there where we lost some guys that we were right there on the cusp of getting, but at the same time, we had a good board put together and felt good about it, how it unfolded. But, we traded back a few times, which I think, usually happens when you lose a guy or two and you're not necessarily just dying to make a quick pick, and felt good about doing that. And we ended up picking up a couple players. And then the only other thing I would add is I think we've really done a good job in here tonight on our priority free agents. I think we've ended up with some really good players that we still had left on our board that we were able to add to what we drafted. And, as we were walking down the hallway there, we were just talking about how this could really be one of our better, if not the best, competitive camp that we've had in a long time.
The 2 running backs you took and how they work with each other.
Jason?
Yeah, obviously we took Pollard first, someone we think is a very good space player. He's an excellent receiver. He's very good running the football, particularly when he gets out on the perimeter, but we also feel like he can run the ball inside. And he's an outstanding special teams player, not only a great returner, a lot of returns for touchdowns in college, but also we believe he's a 4-phase player on special teams. But what we like most about him is what he does on offense with the ball in his hands, and we feel like he can really help us in that area, making some plays in space. And then in the 7th, we took Mike Weber from Ohio State, who we'd graded very high on our board, and we liked him. He was in this clump with some of the other running backs who were taken earlier. And so, again, we looked at each other and said, why not Weber? We feel like he can be a 3-down back for us, particularly good running the ball inside on 1st and 2nd down, and we felt like that was something that we wanted to add to our team. And so to be able to get a player of that value that late in the draft, we thought that was a really good addition for us.
Is Weber like a more traditional backup to Zeke and Pollard more of the gadget guy, I guess you could say, so to speak?
Yeah, yeah, I'd be careful calling him a gadget guy. We feel like he's a very good space player and a very good receiver. But there's no question we feel more confident in Weber's ability to consistently run inside. You saw that more on tape. But you like the versatility of both players. We don't feel like either of them have any limitations. But based on what they've done, you would characterize Weber more as the inside guy and Pollard as more as the space player.
Did you consider you were successful in being able to execute what you wanted to do going into this draft? Or, like you say, when you're at the back end of the draft, did you lose a couple of spots and you wanted to fill one or more positions?
Yeah, I think overall we were able to, be efficient in the way we drafted. And when we lost a few guys that we weren't just jumping up and down, then we were able to add some picks, which, as we know, we came in here short a few. And I think it made a lot of sense the way we went about our draft, and it ended up working out. We addressed a lot of positions there in terms of some things that you look at on our roster and you say, hey, we may be a little short in an area or two. And when you look at the runners and the safeties, to add to what Jason said, on Pollard, I think he's got a little unfair. He's certainly not at that level, don't get me wrong, but a little Kamara to him as to how he compliments Ingram down in New Orleans. I think he can do some of that. But and then you look at the cornerback, obviously with Byron having a little injury issue there. We truly believe Byron's going to be fine, and he'll be ready to go for the first game. But you never know about that, and certainly Mike can go in and out. Jackson can go in and out in terms of what he can do in terms of playing in the slot or outside, and then obviously did the running back situation. And then, Jelks was just a situation where you look at your board and he's just another blinking light. You just say, hey, we've got some depth there in the defensive line, but you can never have enough of those guys. And I just felt like, at the end of the day, the draft, really fell in a good place for us.
What would you like in the 2 D linemen you guys drafted today?
Yeah, Joe Jackson first, the defensive end from Miami. Big, strong, tough, physical player, long arms, very good at the point of attack. We see him as a left end candidate, but again, plays the right way. Relentless, he was productive, both sacking the quarterback and also disrupting the quarterback, was around the ball a lot. And visiting with their people down there at Miami, they really, really endorsed him heavily. Our scouts did great due diligence on him as well. So feel really good about the kind of guy he is and how he goes about playing. And then, as Steven said on Jelks, I mean, again, you know, graded very high on our board, and we're down to the end of the draft, and he's still sitting there like a blinking light. Like, there's so much to like about this guy. He's big, he's long, he's athletic. He plays with a relentless spirit, a great motor, great energy, around the ball a lot. So, again, plays the right way, has a lot of the physical traits we're looking for in our defensive linemen. And, again, I think it's going to be very competitive all across that defensive front for guys to make this football team and for guys fighting for playing time.
Is Michael Jackson just one of those guys that fits the mold of what Chris Richard likes in his corners?
He certainly has all the physical traits. He's big, he's long, he's fast, he's physical, all the things that we like in our guys. He's best in press, and just a lot of the traits we like. And again, you're talking about drafting a guy in the 5th round at a premium position with all the traits that you're looking for. We liked him a lot, and strongly endorsed by the people at Miami, but the kind of guy he is, how much he loves football, how he works, all those things are very favorable for him.
Were the trades made contingent on if this guy's not here, if this guy goes, then we'll make the trade? Like, was Kaminsky a guy where you said, okay, now we need to move out because that would have been your guy, or anything like that?
Yeah, I think a lot of that, I mean, we made them when we were on the clock. If you look at them, we didn't make them before we were on the clock. And, you know, we had some, you know, what you always do. You had some guys come off the board right in front of you, and those things happen, and we just felt like, you know, what we were looking to get was worth risking. And a lot of times when we made those trades there in the 4th and the 5th, you know, we had a handful of players that we felt like, you know, we could still be happy with if we lost 2 or 3 along the way. So made a lot of sense. And, you know, those sometimes you think, well, let's just go ahead and pick away. But I think in these situations where you say, hey, we feel really good that there's 2 or 3 guys there that you'll still get to look at when it comes your time, then, you know, you do those type of things, and you end up picking up some picks, and I think it works out well.
Did you come in there with the mindset, because you only had 6 picks in the draft, and obviously you didn't have a 6th. Did you come in with the mindset of trying to trade and add picks at all, or did it just come to you naturally? I
don't think so. I think it came naturally. Usually if you really got the mindset, I want to add picks, you do it early. I mean, that's where you make your hay, is, you know, is trading down early, because you get so much collateral when you do move down. You know, as you move down later in the draft, you don't get near as much, and it just so happened it worked out for us that way, and we were able to pick up a few late picks. But if you really have the mindset coming into a draft that you want to pick up picks, you need to start that early on.
Jerry, how do you feel about safety, and would you have thought you'd take 2 running backs and just 1 safety when this thing started?
Well, really, I knew it was very possible that we could get out of here without picking a safety. We need to, from a standpoint of efficiency within a game, as well as from managing our overall future, we need some good running back skill behind Zeke. And now that covers a lot of ground when you talk about what we're doing with Zeke. But prudence tells you you need to manage this, and these guys let us manage Zeke in a manner of speaking. This Pollard really gives us some juice from the running back position, and he gives us legitimate options that threaten defensive. The same thing is true with Weber. Weber just happens he's from Ohio State, but he can do some of the same things, not necessarily comparing the two, but he can do some of those same things. That was a goal coming into this draft, was let's let us wisely use Zeke now and in the future. So those two address that perfectly. And Tony obviously can step in there, and if we needed, and for whatever reason Weber wasn't up that particular day, Pollard could basically step in and carry the mail if for whatever the reason we wanted to alleviate it off of Zeke. So those were good. But in general, we had, for instance, in our free agents, we had, of the 15, we had 8 that were draftable with an average of about fourth round in our 8 free agents, with the 8 that were draftable averaged in the 4th round. So we've really given ourselves some options there as well. But I think generally when you look at it, this day and time, these guys are a representation of them and our free agents. They really have got to come in and play, because we all see the system, and it's really at the top a huge percentage of your money you spend professionally is about 50% of it is going to be with these top 10 or so players. So these guys have really got to come in and really make contributions. When I look at everything we've done over the last 3 days, not just what we've done in free agency, I think we have really addressed the way NFL and pro football, the managing of rosters is today.
Stephen, there was a bit of a run on running back there in the 4th. Did you consider moving up at all to ensure that you would get Pollard, or were you just...
Not really. I think we felt comfortable with the backs that were sitting there, and agree we knew at some point those running backs were going to start to go, and we have a way we look at running backs, and I know Jason can address that in a really good way for you as well, but a guy like a Pollard can really come in there and be a great complement to Zeke in terms of what he can do. As Jason said, he can run between the tackles. You probably don't want to give him, a heavy dose of it, but he's a running back, and he can go out there and play in space and be great for you on special teams. And I think you'll look up and watch this guy get 30 plays before it's all said and done. And certainly some of those plays can be home run plays if you follow what he did. And we just felt like he had a chance to get to us. And we, at the end of the day, when you're looking at what's going on in that draft, I really don't think we ever felt the need to really move up. I think our feeling was, let's let the draft come to us. We felt like we had probably a larger number of players on our board than we usually do. And so we felt like the depth was there, and we could sit there and let it come at us. And then, at times, which we did twice, when you felt like there were a handful of guys you were happy with, and you could move down and pick up a pick or two, which is what we did.
Coach Donovan Wilson has that height-speed combination that Rashard loves, but what led to your decision to select him to fill that positional need at safety?
I just think we liked how he played. He's a really physical guy. I mean, that's what leaps off the tape at you. And we see him as a strong safety, a guy down around the line of scrimmage for us. And like you said, he has the physical traits. He's big, he's fast. But that physicalness was the trait that really jumped out to us. And he's got a real good understanding of the game. His FBI is excellent. His aptitude to play, all really, really good. Good feel for playing. We think he can pick things up quickly and really get in here and compete and make that safety position that much better.
The thing that he does that I was interested, you'd be interested in, when Rashad was talking about, sometimes he comes in and you think, well, he's missed, he's not quite in position. That's very coachable. And Rashad pointed that out, made me feel a lot better about him, because he sure does have the right attitude back there at safety and can cover. But if you see him criticized at all, it'll be because sometimes he comes in and misses. And that's one, but he will bite. and if they'll bite as a puppy, they'll bite as a dog, and so he'll bite.
Jason, you guys have had space players that you've liked, like Lance Dunbar and Tavon. Last year you made the trade for him. It was about getting him involved in a different number of ways, and it's never really happened. Why will it be different with Pollard, getting him more involved as a space player where maybe some of those other guys haven't?
Yeah, I think you got to be careful comparing guys. Lance was a really good player for us. Unfortunately, he got hurt a few different times during his career, but he was outstanding when he had his opportunities. And you could say the same thing for Tavon. Tavon considered more of a receiver first, who could run the ball. And if you look at what he did for us last year when he was healthy, he made a very positive impact. Big play against the Giants at the outset of the season, late in the year as a punt returner. His biggest issue was he was hurt for a large majority of the year. So hopefully we can get him back and healthy and going again. He has some unique traits, unique skills. Want to be careful about comparing Pollard to those guys. Again, we feel like he's versatile. He does a lot of things, both on offense and in the kicking game as a returner and as a core special teams player. So he's dynamic when he has the ball in his hands. He makes a lot of big plays, running inside, but mostly as a space player and as a receiver. So there's a lot to like about him. The other thing that comes up a lot with him that you see on the tape and you hear in the descriptions of guys who evaluated him closely is how tough he is. He's a tough football player. He's a physical football player for his size. And even though he's considered kind of a space guy, he's not afraid to pour it up in there. So we certainly like that about him as well.
Pollard, does he do punt returns or mainly kickoff returns?
Mainly a kickoff return guy.
But can he, is that something?
Yeah, we feel like he's capable of doing it.
Stephen, what's your takeaway at safety now that coming out of the draft?
Well, we felt probably better than people from the outside looking in feel about our safety position. I've mentioned to you time and time again that we probably don't have as much resources allocated to that position, and it's probably not by accident. I mean, we certainly look at that, and if you find the difference maker, then you do it. But I think we feel good about the group we had coming in here, and then to be able to add a guy like Wilson will make that position even more competitive, and it'll be great to see everybody compete. But we have some guys we really like in there, and it'll be a good situation there. But as I've always said, we've got I think as deep a roster as we've ever had in terms of competition from the top to the bottom. And at some point, if player acquisition, as we always say, 365 days a year, and if we see a situation to improve anything, then we'll do it. But at the same time, we like what we have at safety.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thank you.